decided to do a civics bee. So I had heard about this at a business education meeting, and Chantel Baker, who works at the chamber, had said, I think we're going to go ahead and try to get this. And we worked together. The kids all throughout the Wayne County had submitted different essays to be part of this, and then through those essays, they had a panel that read through these essays. And then through that, they also had some finalists that did a civics bee here in Richmond. So those students then competed, and we had some students here from Richmond Community Schools and from our area, and that competed. And then we also had a state civics bee. So that was just recently held. So we actually have some of those students with us tonight. So I would like to call Ellie and Marisol up here for a second. Sadie Penrod was also a student that competed and did very well. They're the state, but she is in a volleyball game tonight. So Ellie was an 8th grader last year at the Friends School. She is currently a freshman here at Richmond High School now. And then Marisol is also a freshman. She was an 8th grader at the STEAM Academy last year. So if you guys could just tell us a little bit about what you guys experienced as far as the local civics bee, or even about your essays. How, what did you guys write about? How did you, pick out those ideas or those instructions? I mean, did your mom just tell you how to do this, or how did all that work?
Well, how the thing started was a school assignment where I don't know quite how many schools entered, but we all had to write an essay about a topic that affects the community, the state, or something that just resonates with us. So we all wrote an essay about it.
Yeah, mine was also for an assignment that we had to do, and our teacher made every single one of us submit it, and I didn't really think I was going to get chosen. And then for the local civics bee, we were given different things that we could study on it. A lot of those questions, though, didn't really show up on the test, and there were some very hard questions, like ones where they asked like what article, what section, what clause of like the Constitution, and where it was.
Yeah, those questions were really difficult. They gave us this really big study guide, and so we answered like 2 rounds of 10 questions about civics, and then in the local one they had a tie for 5th, so we actually had 7 finalists instead of 5, and so it was me, Marisol, and Sadie all in the finals, and then we had to talk about our essays for like a minute and a half.
And what kind of essay? What did you write about on your essays? What was your subject?
My subject was about poverty in Richmond and like what we could do to fix it and like housing for them.
Mine was about teen mental health and how we need to get more resources for it implemented into schools.
And you guys know what Sadie wrote about? We'll ask. We'll find out. We'll find out. I'm sorry.
Sadie had gotten 2nd. She had gotten 1st. Gotten 3rd.
Okay. All right. And so where was this the state bee? Where was the civics bee at? Where did you guys go to do that?
It was in the state house in the
Sitting here.
Yeah. It was a really cool building.
It was very good.
So
It looks so nice.
And then Ellie, so you ended up winning the state bee.
Yeah.
So you got 1st place. So what happens now for you?
On November 12th, I have to go to Washington, D.C. for nationals, and I think it's the same system. I'll probably have to talk about my essay more. And a 10-minute talk. I will be talking about my essay for about 5 to 10 minutes, which is good because I can talk a lot. So.
And now, what do you guys think about freshman year at Richmond? I mean, what activities or what are your favorite classes?
I am in band. So I was supposed to have drumline tonight, but I'm here. So band is really good. We have a really good music program, and I really like my classes.
I have one of my electives that I decided to pick was journalism, and I've been having a lot of fun making like articles and stuff. And I have soccer, and I'm supposed to be at soccer practice today.
Now, is there anything? Now, who'd you bring with you tonight?
I brought my mom, who is an ELL teacher at RHS.
I brought my mom and my dad.
You have any questions, anybody?
I have a question. Congratulations. And if you would be willing to share your essays with the board, would that be okay? Bridget, if you could get their essays, if they'd be willing to share, I'd like to read them actually.
All right, well, we wish you.
No pressure, you don't have to.
Yeah. Wish you, and again, Sadie, congratulations to you. Congratulations, Sadie. But again, thank you guys both for taking time out of your day and celebrating with us. And can we get a photo?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's give him a round of applause.
I'm just gonna stay right here next to that.
Cindy, we have anyone signed up for public comments for this evening? We got one. Okay, great. For public commentary this evening, for those who wish to comment at this evening's board meeting, the maximum time to speak is 5 minutes. Please keep your comments fact-based and within the time permitted. Comments are not to be personally directive or abusive. Comments recognizing the work of staff and students are always welcome. However, critical remarks concerning specific school personnel or students will be made through the complaint process available in policy 9130. School board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, but you will receive a personal follow-up email from the board president. Please state your name and address before speaking.
Our one speaker is Renee Kala. So, as my daughter said, I am an ENL teacher at Richmond High School, formerly Spanish. I'm also a sponsor of Student Council. I currently have class of 2026. We're planning prom. Super excited. If y'all want to be, chaperones, we're always looking for chaperones, But the reason I'm here is because I want to invite you guys to our homecoming festivities, which is next week, right?
Yep.
Yeah, next week. Sorry, I got sick and haven't been in school, so my We're also doing a fundraiser on Friday. The class of 2026 is having a dunk tank behind the football field. Mr. Jones, Miss Baker, Mr. Amix, Mr. Lambright, Miss Bailey, Mr. Gamber, Mr. Wilson the third, Mr. Whistle, Officer Cushing, and myself will all be there. It is $1 per ball. You get 6 balls for $5, and then if you just want to go up and push the button, it's $20. We did it last year. It was actually class of 2025 that did it last year, and I was in it, and it was a lot of fun. One of the band students actually, he told me that he was going to get me, and I was like, bring it on. And he actually came over in his uniform to pay. He snuck out, paid $20, and pushed the button. It was a lot of fun. So I'd really like you guys to come out and have some fun with us. It's going to be great. We won homecoming last year, so hopefully this year we will win as well. And so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Since Dr. Wright's on point, can we volunteer him for the dunk tank? I think that's appropriate.
Board members, right? So volunteer. Yeah, Aaron would be perfect.
I'll give up my spot.
Okay. We'll move on to consent items. We have first on the consent items is item 5.01, the approval of the minutes of last business meeting and exec session.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
The motion from member Stoltz, a second from member Zaleski. Questions or comments? And this is just for the approval of minutes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Next, we have the 5.02 human resources as presented
Move for approval.
with the addendum. Thank you.
Also, go ahead.
Second. Okay. I have a motion from member Zaleski, second from member Pickering. Questions or comments regarding the human resources plus the addendum? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Under action items, 6.01, the request to advertise for the public hearing for additional appropriations. This is a request to advertise for the public hearing to be held on September 25th.
I move to approve the request to advertise for the public hearing for additional appropriations.
I have a motion. We need a second. Okay, so I make the motion for the second. Questions or comments?
Looking at what needs appropriated salaries, benefits, that we were gonna be pretty close into December. At least well into December. I would rather do these appropriations closer to when they're needed, so we have more exact figures on those dates. I don't really want to run counts into the red, but I'd rather those be more exact appropriation amounts. And my understanding on the textbook transfer, textbooks at this point can be taken out of the education fund, and that is starting January 1st of next year is when the legislature changed for the textbook fund transfer to be required or for it to be budgeted.
And so I guess my question is the numbers we received, they aren't exact and like you want more time for them to, I'm guessing.
We're going to know 1st of December where exactly we're at and what those numbers are. We were benefits wise under, percentage wise, salaries were almost in line, a couple percent. So once we get into November, December, we'll have more accurate representation of what that appropriation needs to be.
And maybe we can ask CFO, yes, to explain or what is the risk of waiting and what is the benefit of approving the appropriations now as opposed to waiting? And if we approve them now and they're not as exact, is that an issue? And I'm just trying to understand more, like, why wait? Maybe we need to, maybe we don't. You tell us.
So, great.
Thank
So
you, Mrs. Swab.
thank you. I am still learning it all as well, but I know that if you wait and we go over, we can't spend the money if we need to. We can't go back and ask, oh, sorry, we were over $10,000. Can we now have the authority to spend that, even though it's already due because that person worked and we need to pay them? We couldn't go backwards if we happen to spend more in salaries than we thought we were going to. So that is one part of the waiting. And I think in the past practice, in the business office, they have counted in the appropriations, the amount of the transfers. And so that was taken into the count of the appropriation amount, which was not done for this year's budget. So it seems shorter. Does that make sense?
It does help me understand. So if we do it now, is there any harm in doing this appropriation now?
No, because
it can only benefit it, and if it goes over, then we're going to be in a bind.
we're just
We're
We're just
making
asking
sure.
for the authority to spend it if we need to spend it. If we go over in an area, we are asking permission to spend it because we could have the cash flow, but not the ability to spend it if we don't ask the permission and get the permission.
I had a question. I was trying to figure out, I guess. So the textbooks,
I guess where does the 5.5 come from? Like, yes, we've got some added to salary and benefits, and we know textbook transfer might come in January. So I guess the expectation is that we will spend more on those two. I don't quite understand the 5.5.
I think the expectation is that we're gonna spend more on salaries. And I know, just from the raises that we've done, that were done in this year before the budget was planned last September. So there's gonna be more spent in salaries, than what was originally planned.
Got it.
Did that answer?
Yes. Yes. So I guess if and I yeah, you get my question. Is it possible to do some now and then as we plan, if that's the plan to increase salaries, then that would come later? Or is that just still too close to the
I'm not sure if
Timeline.
is there any rule on multiple asking for additional appropriations?
There's a timing issue
Mhm.
because you have to hold a public hearing and you have to advertise 10 days prior to the public hearing and our calendar days. And so, in order to meet the timing necessary to have it into the state for approval timelines, we have to have so many board meetings. And so part of that will be very tight with only one meeting in October and one meeting in December. So that's why we're asking now. This is the authority to spend. It doesn't mean that the cash will be spent if it's not needed. It's the authority to spend. And so that's, you receive a cash flow every month. We monitor that in the business office very carefully and we make sure, but because there is the chance that we will be closed, the business office felt it was the time that we needed to do this so that we don't have any months where this might be problematic.
Okay. And so this motion or this action item is to approve the public hearing. So I might have just started when we did this last year, so I really apologize on that process. So I guess if the public hearing is on the 25th, is that an additional board vote on that, or if it's just the public hearing for public commentary?
So
Sorry.
the public hearing is a requirement that we provide to the board and to the public the information on the additional appropriation that we're asking for. And then at the October 9th meeting, or just following the board meeting, because additional appropriations, you have to hold the hearing first. And then you would approve the additional appropriation for submittal through Gateway following that meeting. So that's why we have to hold the public meeting, and it is statutory that we hold a public hearing. So, and you probably are exactly right, and it was probably around the time when you started, because you close the meeting, you open a public hearing, you just go through the information, and then you close the public hearing, you offer, for any commentary, and then you move forward one way or another, so.
Okay.
So in other words, if at some point we as a board decide between now and then, we could still decide not to allot for the appropriations, is that correct?
You always have that choice.
So this is just moving us to the next step.
Okay.
Request to advertise.
Yeah, no, it's just something that
Yeah.
I just
question.
want to
It's
understand
legal
more
or
about,
right.
I
Could
don't
be
want
moved to October for a hearing. We have more exact numbers in November, and then we would be able to, we can advertise the 5.5. Once we have the more exact numbers, actually be able to lower that appropriation amount in November to what's actually needed.
What is the advantage of that?
I mean, I feel like we've hired you guys who are experts and you are people to tell us that this should be done now. I mean, for advertising this public hearing. So, and I guess Ron's question is good. It's
I mean, what's the downside?
right.
I mean,
What is it?
appropriation is nothing but a permission to spend,
Mhm.
and the budget is the budget, and that is where you fundamentally limited what you will be spending on in various line items, and that's what you should be getting reports on, which I think you are periodically. So, I mean, for an attorney not to procrastinate and advocate not to procrastinate.
Right.
It's highly unusual, I can tell you that.
Are you feeling okay?
So then when would we see maybe more actual numbers?
So you're just asking for the amount that we're in need? Is that
Well, I just, like I said, this is right when I started last year, so as we go through year end, I think all of that was sort of already done, and I don't know what was brought to the board as far
Like
as
the actual budget. is
the actual
probably what you're
budget, like
wanting to
salaries, that type of stuff. Or if that doesn't.
Do you want? So that is usually, so the end of the year report happens in January. When, and you are provided with everything that was spent year to date during that time. I'm sorry. Yeah, so they can, on the microphone. So each January, a financial presentation is provided to the board with the information on what was spent in the year prior. Oftentimes that does include a breakdown of each of what we call the object levels. So that's salaries, benefits, professional services, supplies. In the operations fund, that's utilities and insurance. So there are a number of transactional categories that you receive reports on at that time. As far as the actual expenses, you receive those each month in the cash flow. So you know in any given month how much we've spent year to date and by the month. So you are getting that information now. As Mr. Cross said, this is just the authority to spend. Anything not used just goes away. So there's a portion of the budget, it's called the line 2 resolution, and that allows for the cuts of any appropriation that's not needed. So at the end of the day, if we don't need any of this appropriation, it just goes away. And then a new allocation is provided in 2025 through the budget process, which we're getting ready to do. So all of that naturally happens. It's just, as Mr. Cross said, the authority to spend. It doesn't necessarily mean all of that cash is going to get spent.
Got it.
I have a motion from member Stoltz, a second from member Brent. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
Vote passes. Did everyone vote? I think I just had one. Okay. Vote passes 5-1. Next on the agenda is action item 6.02, the budget calendar. And this is the request to advertise the 2025 budget public hearing for September 25th, the next board meeting. Need a motion?
Just for clarification, we actually already approved a budget calendar on February 20th.
I'm sorry, I think I spoke wrong. It's not approving the budget. This is approving the request to advertise the budget public hearing for September 25th. That's what I think I just said that wrong.
But we still have approved a calendar that has different dates than what was requested today.
I think this request is just to, I think the calendar is added in this, and we can have discussion on that once I get a motion, but the action would be to approve the request to advertise the budget public hearing for September 25th.
I'll make a motion. We can talk, right? All right. I'll make a motion to request to advertise the budget hearing.
Second.
Okay, a motion from member Stoltz, a second from member Pickering. Questions or comments?
So Dr. Wright, can you speak to that as far as the calendar?
Interesting enough, what I would prefer to do, so as an Ms. Reek is humbly ask that either our Director of Finance, Mrs. Swafford, address such a question.
And can you state your question again?
Well, the date's been changed in the agenda, but we did approve the budget calendar
I think you did.
February, what did I say, 28th.
Okay, and it's different than the one that's presented here. Is that what you're saying?
It was different than what was originally posted in board docs, but yeah, board docs was updated. I missed the update that is there now. So originally had September 24th.
Oh, a Tuesday or something. I remember you.
Yeah.
was that
Correct.
right? Okay. So does this agenda present or this calendar this evening match what was presented in February?
Correct, for 25th.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. And I guess my only question on the calendar on that date, the 25th, we had talked about initially having policy discussion for our work session. Are we wanting to make the budget the work session, which would dedicate a full hour to discussing some of the priorities of the board and the philosophies that are in the budget?
Yeah, what do you guys think? Because we were, as an exec committee, we were really wanting to stay on task, on target with policy, you know, like
The first of
every
every
other-
month.
Yeah,
But
but obviously budget's important. Make it
Yeah, I
important.
think it would be
So-
good to switch, especially going through projects and to keep that.
we will have our additional work session also and have more of a
What do you guys think?
I agree.
To do budget
Do
instead?
budget, yeah.
Yeah. John, I know you love policies. What do you think?
An hour in budget, I mean, we're not gonna, I don't know what we're gonna do in an hour.
So do you feel like we need an
At some
additional?
point, it'd be nice to actually, the board to dig into the budget and have some input into the budget. In
Yes.
my 8 years on the board, we've never done that, so.
So we
if we
can
wanted-
make that happen. I think it's up to the board to make that
well-
happen. So what about an
Yeah.
additional work session prior to this?
I don't think an hour.
No, I know, I'm
That's
not,
the thing.
I'm not,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I know that we're having a longer work session this Sunday, here and, to discuss the,
Capital projects.
thank you.
What is-
Thank you, I know,
Yeah.
yes, so,
Would we be able to just have our work session policy as we've determined, so to speak, and then just embedded within the board meeting that's already scheduled, have the budget discussion? Would people be favorable to that rather than, I'm just trying to save us another
25th.
date.
I just feel like John, I think that I'm gonna, John is
It'd
saying
be
we
a
need
long-
more time, and do we need more time to discuss? I mean,
Well, I mean, if we're gonna try to be different, we need more time. If we're just gonna do what's done, then whatever.
yeah, Pete, how do you feel about that?
The 25th is the initial public hearing. So we then have time to discuss that at a board. So as a board of our priorities and whatnot and digging deeper. So having the initial hearing on the 25th, and correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, please. There's plenty of time for adjustments to the budget after that 25th date.
When is our
It says
budget
here-
submitted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we approve it October 9th, so we would have. So this would be the time as a board, if we feel like we haven't had a say in the budget, that we need to get together, carve out time to make it, to
The
do it.
deadline for submittal is November, so we don't have to have it
Okay.
that October 9th date. That's our final approval.
Does that work? Is it correct that the budget is still flexible until November 2nd?
No, you have, based on the calendar,
Mhm.
if when the board approves October the 9th,
Mhm.
that would be the point in time we submit to Gateway. I do not recommend that we push the deadline to the exact day that the DLGF requires the budget submittal, because that puts a lot of additional pressure on the process. And if there's a computer problem, if our network goes down, there's a lot that could happen. So I really, I don't quite, I don't quite understand why we would put that kind of pressure on the process. But the board can make changes between the 25th and the 9th. You have that 2-week window that if there's something that you have questions on or you don't like, we can make the changes for the approval on the 9th. Then what happens is you submit it to Gateway. We could hold another board meeting after the 9th, but we were trying to follow the routine board schedule so that we didn't have to have another meeting.
If you would like to have another meeting, we can do that, but we were just trying to honor the current schedule.
It sounds like as a board, we need to have a longer work session between September 24th and October 9th. And that can be, if everyone agrees to that, we can figure out the date on that together. And that will allow us, I mean, this is our opportunity to discussion of the budget, with any changes, and this would be our. Does everyone feel good about that? I see Kim nodding her head. I don't see this side. John,
Do we not have an October 23rd meeting?
October 23rd? I think we're looking between September the 24th.
I'm just saying the October 23rd doesn't put them on the deadline. That puts them essentially a week and a half before the deadline.
But what I just heard her say was that it takes time to submit it. And I'm hearing from experts that have done the budget for a lot of time that's saying that we don't want to put ourselves up to a wall and risk that. And we could get together in that 2 weeks and still accomplish both goals, stick with the timeline that they presented in February, as you stated. We've had this timeline since February and all this time to move on this. So now is our time to set this date and work together on the budget in that time frame
I don't think we have a meeting on the 23rd.
of October.
I was just looking, it's not on my folder.
Yeah.
It's a fall break. But I mean,
Yes.
I think we can make it.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. So we'll find time in that 2 week period to have a long work session where we can work through the budget, work with the business office to still maintain the recommended timelines. I have a motion from Stoltz, a second from Pickering. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Next on our agenda is the item 6.03, the test roof bid award. Need a motion?
I move to accept the test roof bid award.
A second. I second it. Okay, questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Next, 6.04, the high school HVAC contract. Need a motion? I make the motion. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Stoltz. Questions and comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. 6.05, the benefit package update.
I move to accept the benefit package update as presented.
second.
Motion from member Stoltz, a second from member Pickering. Questions or comments?
I have a just random question. So when we are just removing something, do those always come to the board? Do we have to approve those edits?
Mr. Martins? No.
Miss here, we can't.
Yeah, I got to speak into your microphone. I got you. So, anytime it affects pay, then we do. Or in benefits, payer benefits, yeah, we have to bring it.
So even removing a position?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and we're not removing, we're moving it.
Moving, got it, okay.
Yeah.
Very
So,
similar to what-
yeah, but that's a great question. I mean, you wouldn't know if you didn't know.
Thank you, Mr. Miles.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Action item 6.06, the 2024-2025 evaluation plan as presented. This is the teacher evaluation guideline.
I move to accept the 2024-25 evaluation plan as it's presented.
Second.
I have a motion by member Stoltz, a second by member Pickering. Questions or comments?
Just a question. Do these, I guess especially for Dr. Wright, do you work with the Teachers Association when they go through these, when we're in contract negotiation? Is that when you kind of relook at any evaluation? Is this what they just present to I guess I don't know that.
In past practice, RCS, there's been a collaborative conversation with our association and all faculty staff with regard to the evaluatory process and the tools that we've been using. This is the second consecutive year in which we, for the most part, have the same evaluatory tool, the same protocols, procedures.
Okay.
It's something that allow us to process.
As a former teacher, I would be like, oh, teacher evaluation. So I just heard you say it's the same. There's no surprises for teachers or staff or, okay,
No.
thank you.
No.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Action item 6.07, the RHS Alternative Education Overnight Field Trip. Seeking approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Zaleski, a second by Brand. Questions or comments?
Comment, it just looks like a great itinerary. Montgomery, Alabama, with the Rosa Parks Museum, the Memorial for Peace and Justice, Justice Initiatives, Legacy Museum. I mean, all of this, I'm like, that's great. I'm glad that we're affording our students the opportunity to do this. So,
Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Next is the preview of the upcoming meetings and events. We have a work session scheduled for Sunday, September 5th here at 5 p.m. We have 15th. It says 15th. Sunday, September 15th at 5 p.m. The October work session business meeting will be on October 9th with the work session starting at 5:30 and the business meeting starting at 6:30. Also, other events coming up, the ISBA Fall Conference is September 23rd through 24th. And I know we have several board members attending that, which is a good opportunity for training and additional education for board members. Next item, board discussion 8.01. Other discussions?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up, yes, homecoming is rapidly approaching. So, anyone out there, this is the 100th year for RHS cheerleaders. That we're celebrating, so we'll be featured at Alumni Night in December again. And we are having a group that will be kind of walking in the homecoming parade. So if you guys know former cheerleaders, send them my way. We're just looking for a group to kind of just help celebrate, get the buzz going for Alumni Night in December. And then yeah, I'm just excited for homecoming this year. I think it'll be great. Yeah.
Will you be cheering?
Homecoming?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I hope not. Yes. Alumni cheerleaders, I'm not gonna make you do
Okay.
a dance while in the parade. So.
Other board discussion?
If anybody hasn't checked out on the DOE webpage, the state superintendent's monthly newsletter, I believe it was from August 16th, it was the middle of the month. Last month had some preview videos and some guidance on some of the new diploma paths that are going to be coming down our way, which I'm sure we're going to be hearing about very soon. But it'll give us, if anybody's looking for at least some preview information and some couple one-pagers that are on there already that they've just released, what is hopefully their final guidance on. How many times has it changed?
It's changed twice.
Hopefully final
Well, but
guidance on.
they sought feedback, right?
Yes.
And then, so it's
So.
a little more of a collaborative effort than maybe we've seen in the past, so, just saying.
Would you
But-
mind sharing that link with the board too? That'd
Yeah.
be great. Thank you.
See.
Any other discussion? Bell ringer, if I said right.
President Bundy, trustees, I'm gonna ask that Mrs. Bridget Hazelbaker be join us for the bell ring prior to the adjournment.
I'm actually going to pass this information on to Mrs. Scout. So she has some information and she's going to share some, a bell ringer, very exciting, some news.
So we got a really interesting and super exciting call today. We found out who our celebrity chef is going to be at the Title I event. So we will have Fernanda Tapia with us. She is going to be on Beat Bobby Flay tomorrow night. So you can tune in tomorrow night and see her right there on the show. But she will be joining us for our Title I event. She does feature Latin and Mediterranean cuisine, and she has her own like blog and her own website. So it's called Fern Cooks. Be sure you take a check her out. And we are thrilled that this event is going to have such a wonderful like person that we're going to be able to say is coming to Richmond. So we're super excited. Please come. And
September 26th.
September 26th, parents around the district, you are going to receive information in your newsletters if you haven't already. You will see information out on our social media posts. So it's going to be a great event. It's down at Elstro Plaza, and it'll be from 5 to 7. So super excited, and it'll be lots of fun.
Cross curricular.
It is. So the other part that's super exciting is we're trying something new. So we are going to cross curricular this into culinary arts and how they use reading and math to do everything they do. And so whether that's using recipes or whether that's thinking through measurements and all of those things that we all utilize in cooking every day. And we're going to have a chef right here showing us how that works. We're also super excited because we will have a number of Chartwell chefs coming to us from other districts for this event, as well as having our own chefs front and center with Ms. Tapia as she presents. So we'll have Quill Redwine with us, who was here as our director for a number of years. And Mr. Nick Koenig will also be here as another chef. He actually still works with the district as our regional director, but he was also here and actually got our launch started. So we're excited to have some people coming home. I'm going to call it home because they're going to be Red Devils. I'm going to at least try to own them. And so then we also will have some other chefs around the state stopping by with us as well. So super exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
I bet she's gonna be Bobby Flay.